holding one's body gently as a container, a physical container. Of course, it's organic, so it's not like a pot or a vase. It's changing all the time. According to our health, our diet, the time of year or the time of day. Even according to our mood, our body is always changing. So set up your meditation posture with respect for your body as a vessel which enables you to be present in this meditation session and in your life in general. And when I say respect for your body, that includes respect for all the sources of its creation and its maintenance. Because truly, it totally depends on what brings it into being and what keeps it alive. And this container is something which stuff passes through. It absorbs some of the stuff in order to sustain itself. And it lets go of other stuff which it doesn't need. And among all this stuff is the breath. So become conscious of the breath as something passing through, coming and going. With your body or yourself as the vessel or container through which the breath passes. Some of the breath is retained and the rest is expelled. We can say this is mainly a physical or biological process. But it also has a mental aspect. Especially when you're mindful of the breathing. The experience of each breath passes through your mind. And depending on the quality of your mindfulness, your mind retains something with each breath. But equally, it's another process of the mind, of taking in and letting go. This is, in a way, a more subtle process than the oxygenation of the bloodstream, the physical aspect. Because it's not altogether obvious how the mind benefits from mindfulness of breathing. But you can be aware of this as you meditate. you can experience a change in the quality of your mind as the meditation progresses. So it's one thing to say that I am something or someone through which the breath flows. This sort of suggests a fixed me here, and the breathing is something which comes and goes. But what if I am the flow of the breath itself? Gradually transfer your identity to being the flow, not the vessel. It's like becoming the river rather than the river banks. And again, this doesn't just work on a physical plane, but also a mental plane. Mindfulness is a momentary experience. Just be the mind stream of these moments. And again, check how this shift from being the mind as container to being the mind as flow, how does this affect the quality of the mind? What's happened in your meditation? And finally, a question. How does this affect your notion of what you are? Don't try and answer with words, just feel the answer. A short break, stretching, moving, changing posture. Okay, and when you're ready, come back. So, over the past 4 sessions that I've led, we have been looking at ancestry in 4 different ways. And today we're going to just summarize those 4 by going through each of them more briefly and then getting a general sense of where this leaves identity. Probably doesn't leave it anywhere, but anyway, what impact it has on our sense of identity. Okay, so let's just again settle. And again, we'll begin with the notion of being someone or something through which stuff flows. And we'll start with our ancestry of place. So be aware of the place where you are sitting right now. It might not be your home, in which case you can also do this same practice at home, which is probably somewhere that you have deeper roots, but not always the case. It doesn't matter where you are, you can do this practice in relation to the very place you are. And the ancestry of place is somehow embedded in the earth below us or in the building where we are. Depends how old the building is, partly. But anyway, before this building, there were already probably humans here. Different times, historically. We can go back in time gradually and think of all the different eras, and if the building is a little bit old, then there would have been previous people in this room probably. But before this building, there may have been other buildings. People with different clothes, different lifestyles from our own. And we can even go back to before there were any fixed dwellings at all here. That's a long time ago, perhaps. There may have been humans, tribes of hunter-gatherers, for example, or early agricultural settlements. This is all part of our ancestry of this place. And now, sitting on your seat where you are, feel the flow upwards from the ground, from the surrounding area, of this ancestry flowing into you somehow. It includes many things like the language, the culture, the customs, the climate, the diet, and some of these things have changed. Some of these things are pretty similar over the centuries. Just feel your connection. And feel that energy flowing up into you. In a way, it's sustaining you. And now your ancestry of family. We sometimes say ancestry of blood. If your parents are alive, they're probably elsewhere. Likewise, their parents, and so on, going back. And even though at a certain point we are looking at people who've already died, something has flowed forward from them. into us. There's genetic inheritance in our body, but there's also many cultural habits or ways of being, many of which are unconscious. You don't need to dwell on details, but just feel that these streams of ancestry have flowed into you. You haven't accepted all of them, but even rejecting some of them is your response to them and has helped to make you who or what you are. And because your family ancestors probably have lived in many directions from where you are seated now, you can feel their flow into you from all surrounding directions. And now there's the ancestry of thoughts, ideas, culture, beliefs, some of which came from your family, but many of which come from elsewhere. They've been starting to flow into you from a very early age, especially from when you went to school, but possibly from before that. Includes your language or languages. Includes things connected to the food you eat, physical things like that. But then, perhaps even more importantly, your attitude, your beliefs, the lenses through which you look at life. These haven't just come from teachers that you knew, but also through things you've read or which you've absorbed through discussions, through the media. So many of these things come in through your eyes and your ears, and they feed into your brain. And they make up your ancestry of thought or consciousness. There's not really a single word for it. So again, feel all those things flowing into you and how they've helped to shape you. And finally, there's this notion of the ancestry of a mind stream, which was present before this physical birth or conception. Something which not everybody accepts as the case, but actually a surprising number of people do have a notion of it. So we just feel that this mind stream came from previous lives. Bringing various imprints and potentials, connections, not really memories mostly. It might be helpful to imagine this flowing through you from the top of your head. So these four kinds of ancestry, of place, of family, of thoughts, and of mind stream, they've all flowed into us. Helping to create this person who is seated here now, and they all flow forward into the future, at least potentially. It may be that we don't have children or won't have children, so the family ancestry might stop. But in general, they flow forward. Probably people will use this room or building after we've gone, and so forth. So this person sitting here is like a conduit from the past through the present into the future of many streams. Again, don't think about the details too much, just feel what it's like to be such a person. And finally, one more shift, like with the breath. Instead of being the container through which stuff flows, feel yourself to be the flow. The flow of the ancestry of this place. The flow of the genetic family blood continuity. The flow of the formation of ideas and thoughts and attitudes and beliefs. and the flow of a mind stream coming from previous lives and going forward to future lives. So finally, rest in the experience, not the ideas, but the experience of just being this flow, this collective flow of many streams.